we're going to go ahead and get started, guys. So welcome. I'm glad that you're here. We're going to be talking about productivity. I originally entitled this 13 Tips, and as I started thinking about making sure that you get the most value possible, I personally hate talks where it's just a bunch of empty tips. That's just my personal opinion. Like if I'm going to spend an hour with somebody, I want you to walk away with as much value as possible. If you don't have these handouts, by all means get them, because we're going to be doing stuff during this workshop. You're going to walk away with things that you have completed. This isn't going to be just taking notes. And one of the most important reasons to take this is so that you don't go back home. How many of you have dusty notes from last year's expo? Yeah. And they're just there. They just collect them. You know, it's one day if like the power goes out, you can use them to start a fire. They're really handy. And so we want you to really get into a point where you can get this stuff done. So I'm going to get right into the content. So today we're going to talk about where you are now, a little bit about me, for those of you who don't know my background. Letting the past be but the past, what it takes to transform a business, finding your why, what I call mental defragmentation, task consolidation, time blocking, slaying time vampires, and a call that can make a big difference. I would like to, before I get started, introduce the lovely ladies in my life, and there are 4 of them here. These are not AI generated. Sylvia, will you make sure as these people come in the back that they get the handouts? I'm going to put you to work. This is my oldest daughter, Sylvia. How a girl with my face can look that pretty is very confusing. But she's there. This is Ruby, also known as Ruby Doobie in the top right hand right here. And there's my beautiful smoking hot wife, Kristen. She's legally blind. Legally blind? She's not? Okay, she's legally blind. And this is Tara. Tara's my oldest. No. Tara is one of our coaches. Everybody that coaches for us has gray hair or no hair and has C-level experience. She was the CEO of Fresh Coat Painters for a number of years and just really did a remarkable thing, not just a franchise, and she's got 30 years in McDonald's and Great Clips and Renew and Caring Transitions. So she's seen home services in a wide variety, which really gives her a good foundation. So how many of you are like you're not where you want to be in your business now? Like you're not where you want to be. How many of you would say like your businesses could be perhaps charitably described as a hot mess? Okay, how many of you are just like, I'm just stuck here. I'm doing pretty good, but like I've been trying to get here and that ain't happening. How many of you have personal goals to spend life with your family and not at work? Or you've got health goals and they're just unmet? Okay, so how many of you think that your personal time management skills are largely to blame for this? Oh, yeah, it's terrible. We recently did a survey asking people, painters, what their number one problem was. And their number one problem, and this is because we had a sagging economy and perhaps the time that I did the survey, the number one problem was leads and the second one was personal time management. But you know, behind it is hiring and recruiting painters. But what you find that there are some things that owners get really excited about. See, these people coming in late really need this. They really need the time management. You sir, in the back in the green, we're all here for you mainly. But it's one of those things that's not sexy, right? When you go talk about recruiting painters, this room would be empty. You talk about generating leads, it'll be full, but then you ask them at lunch, what's your problem? I don't have enough painters. But like, there's some things that owners are attracted to naturally, and there are some things that they're not. And the beauty is, when you fix something that painters aren't naturally attracted to, it's a huge competitive advantage because people don't like boring things that make lots of money in general. And so this is a great place to be. So for those of you who are here looking at your phone, you need to put that thing away because for many of you, I kid you not, that thing in your pocket costs you more money than it makes you. I see you all the time. You have the attention span of a gnat, and that thing is like an umbilical cord, and if you lose it, you go into a panic. I'll tell you a story. 7 years ago, we were here at Disney World, and I dropped my phone, and it broke. And I had a weeks-long conversation with my wife about could I live my life without my phone. I was like seriously debating going back to a landline because it just robs you of productivity. Study after study shows it causes anxiety, and it has caused a lot of anxiety in our young people. It's just ruining our culture in many ways. You can't sit in a room like you go to Disney. It's like Disney separates people from more money per hour than Las Vegas. And they're there spending $1,000 a minute on their phones. So take your phones, throw them in the trash can on your way out. You'll be just fine. You can run your business. Don't let that thing run you. So how many of you are thinking, who is this bearded midget hillbilly? You're not supposed to laugh at that. We're called little people. We're called little people. Jeez, PCA needs to do some education on that. Who's going to teach you how to run my business. So the thing that probably matters most to you is that I've been coaching painters specifically, to my knowledge, longer than anybody else here. And I always kept saying I've coached 551, and then I pulled up the data like 2 days ago, and it's apparently 691, not counting the hundreds that were in fresh coat painters, because that's a different relationship when you fix systems in an entire franchise, which I did. But these people are amazing, and I've just watched our guys. I mean, we typically run about 2.5 to 3.9 million on average in our group. That doesn't mean that everybody's big. It just means that our group has grown over the years, and I can see many of them in here, and I love them, and they're overly kind to me. It has just been the professional highlight of my life to coach painters, and I'll talk a little bit about working with politicians later, and y'all are better. Y'all are better by far. Quality of people, just a whole, I could just talk forever about it. But here's how it started. This is me in front of an old rusty trailer in Arab, Alabama. I don't know if I'm trying to make a muscle. I don't know. That's pretty sad. That little guy is looking pretty sad there. There's me with my first guitar. I can still fit into those clothes, believe it or not. I break them out every once in a while. That's my father. You know, he couldn't read or write. He had club foot when he walked. He had like this real pronounced gait. And he was a jokester, as you can see. But he always wanted me to get an education. We didn't have air conditioning. When I was with my grandparents, they didn't have a phone in the house. I had an old AM radio, and it'd be playing in the kitchen. That's why I love old Southern gospel music. And there's me reading to the governor's wife in Alabama. And my father's like, son, I can't read. I never got to go to school. He was the youngest of 13 kids, and they were agricultural. And so when all the kids left, he had to stay and mind the farm, and so he just never got to go to school. And he made sure. I can remember he built me a waterbed and a bookshelf, and by hand, and he got me like 1960s world books at the flea market. And I used to read those things. And Guinness World Book of Records, like that was all we had, big bookshelf, no books. And but I would read those things over and over again. And that's where I got a love of learning. And so I grew up in a little trailer, but now I live, thanks to the painting industry, not completely, but in a $2 million mansion out in the woods, and it's paid for. I've got a beautiful wife, really involved in my community. And it's just been, this is a wonderful industry. And so if you're not making it in this industry, it's not the industry's fault. There's money just laying all over the ground, and you can change people's lives, and you can build something that's really quite remarkable. I love to go camping. That's my dream car, is a 1972 Chevy Blazer. I just put a new engine and fuel injection in it after chasing what we thought was a fuel issue for 4 years. You throw a bunch of money into it and find out it's not the problem. Old cars, you know how it is. And I love to go camping. I've got lots of friends. And so I will just say this, you can use your past as a stumbling block, or you can use it as a stepping stone. I know a lot of you, because I've coached you, you carry around all this stuff from your childhood. Just leave it alone. Don't bring it. You can use it as a cornerstone, or you can use it as a millstone. Don't drag that millstone around with you, okay? I've seen people, substance abuse, terrible backgrounds. If you will do what we talk about today, I've never seen somebody fail, not once, ever, as long as I've been coaching. So here's where I learned time management. Imagine this. You're running your painting business, and all of a sudden, the federal government has a new rule, because they love new rules. And the new rule is, if you make $1 less than anybody in this room and then they're in your area, if you paint one less house, one less commercial project, at the end of a certain deadline, they take all your money, they shut down your business, they give it to the person who did the best, and everybody in the community has to close down, and in 4 years, you can start your painting business again. How hard would you work? Pretty hard. That's what it's like working on a political campaign. There are no second places. I have ran or managed or been a part of 14 campaigns, knock on wood, that have all been successful. This is Congressman Desjardins and Senator Corker, U.S. senators that were at our wedding. Had a lot more hair then, as you can see. It is all migrated down here, and I'm not going to show you where else. It just keeps going south. It just keeps going south. And I wrote a book called How to Raise Money for Political Office. I used to write for Campaigns and Elections magazine, and it was a crucible. Like, you had to get the stuff done. And you really didn't know if you were going to win or not until election night. So it's like this mystery. And so I got really effective at managing my time and being highly productive, and I do a wide variety of things. I also publish the Tennessee Conservative News, which is our state's largest conservative news alternative. I still do that. Started that in 2020 to get things back to normal in our state because we couldn't get truthful reporting about a number of issues that I believe we have now discovered we were lied to quite a bit. And Jill and I actually worked on Senator Corker's campaign in Tennessee. And so I stayed in Chattanooga, and she was on the communication side. I was on the money side. And so you are so blessed to have had people like Jason Paris, Nick Slavic, and her come in, because this organization is just on its way up. It is tremendous. I watched it founder for a while, and it was sad, and it is just amazing. And Jill is a person that gets things done, and she's been in that crucible, and she's bringing so much of that in the organizational structure. So I think PCA is just on its way up. So here's what it takes to make a business transformation. I'm going to go through this quickly, and then we're going to get to work. The first thing you need to transform your business as you sit in this room is a real motivation. Some of you have real motivation. Some of you just want to vaguely be better. Vaguely be better does not pull you up in the morning and make you do things you don't want to do. You need the ability to discern the truth and a commitment to hard changes. When you scroll on Facebook or whatever, you will see all these promises about how somebody can change your business while swapping a credit card, and it's going to be real easy. You're being lied to. This is hard. This is hard. I tell people from the very beginning, this is going to be hard. This may be one of the most difficult things you ever do. It's going to be hard. That's not a good sales tactic, but it's a great tactic to build a life relationship with somebody that you coach. The second thing you need is an accurate, holistic diagnostic. Some of you diagnose your own businesses, and you get part of it right and a lot of it wrong. And it's because you've worked in one or two businesses, you've not seen hundreds of them, and it's not your fault, it's just what happens. And sometimes you get diagnosed wrongly by someone else. It's like you go to the doctor, and he said, my stomach hurts. My stomach hurts, it's your gallbladder. You take a bunch of medicine, you have your gallbladder taken out. 2 weeks later, your stomach hurts. It wasn't your gallbladder. It was something else. And so sometimes people get misdiagnosed. They come to me and I'm like, oh God, I can't believe you've been working on this for 18 months. This is terrible, but now we're going to start again. It takes the wind out of you. You need a properly sequenced action plan. Sometimes people will let you work on things you find interesting that are not what you need to be doing. A good coach is going to say, this is the sequence in which you do it, and I'm sorry, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire to get it done, because if you have fast ROI activities, it builds momentum. And when you work on something hard and you get a good payday for it, it makes you want to go on to the next thing. When you diddle around with Instagram or Snapchat or whatever the crap is enamoring you right now that's not going to change your business, it feels good in the moment, but often it's just procrastination masquerading as activity. It makes you feel good, just like firefighting in your business. So the order of operations is important. You typically need to find some tools and templates, because if I tell somebody you need to market to your clients, but if I don't provide the written copy, if I don't provide the newsletter, if I don't provide the job costing template or the sales tools, Me asking you to create that crap is like, you just can't do it. It's too much friction most of the time. So if you can get it, try to get that, and you need a capable, experienced, accomplished community and some like a mentor of some sort, whether it's another contractor, whether it's a coach of some description. Everybody that coaches for us is old. They have gray hair or no hair, because I believe what it says in the scriptures that wisdom comes through time. Like, I don't coach like I did the first 5 years. Like, I made a lot of mistakes and really, I mean, I brought value, but compared to now, no, it's not the same. So you need that, and then you need metrics and a dashboard so that you can actually monitor your business. And then now we're getting to the last thing that you need that we're going to work on today. And in a way, you kind of need it at the beginning, middle, and end, but I put it at the bottom because often I provide this stuff to people and they don't succeed. And the only reason I've ever seen people fail is because they could not manage their personal time. It's it. I don't care about the color. I don't care about the background. I don't care about the sex. I don't care about the religion. Does not matter. It's just the time. If you sit in the chair and work through the stuff and get it done, you will find success. If you do not, the years and weeks and months will tick by and nothing will happen. If you do not fix this, there is no point to be here. So that's why we're going to fix it, so that you can go back and actually get some things done. So the first thing that we are going to do is do some goal setting. Open it up to page 1. Take out your pens. If you don't have pens, borrow one from a neighbor. We're just going to use good old pen and paper. Now, when you set your goals, there are kind of 2 forms of goals. I want you to write this out, and then I want some of you to share this, okay? Hey, Sylvia, we still have people coming in late. Will you try to go get those handouts? Just maybe. There's no more left. Sorry, sir. That's what happens when you show up late. This is time management, though. Next year, you will be here. It will be great. I won't be here next year. I'll get you the recording. I don't know if there is one. So the first thing is, what problems keep you up at night? You're laying there in the bed. That's why I don't even pray about business before I go to bed. I don't. Because once my brain gets cranked back up, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't shut this thing off. I just go, you're sitting there. What's something that keeps you up at night in your business? You're like, this has been a problem for weeks, months, years, or decades. Keeps you up at night. The other one is similar. The problem keeps you from sleeping. The dream makes you daydream at work while you should be working. So there are 2 dreams. One interrupts the sleep, and the other one interrupts the work. So I want you to write down 2 personal and 2 business. I know you've got more goals than that, but if you could say, come hell or high water, in 2026, if I get nothing else done, I'm going to do this. Study after study shows that when you write down goals and you display them somewhere close, and preferably if you can attach an action plan to that makes sense, that it'll make a difference. And there's an old saying that work expands to the time allowed. Like, right, how many of you got more done getting ready to come to EXPO than you did the last 5 weeks? Because, I get this crap done. I get on a plane. I got to go. Just do that during the day and during the week. Okay, guys, so we can get through the rest of this. So these are things you need to post next to your little, wherever you are. Maybe put them in something decorative, and then talk to your spouse about it. Talk to your business partners and staff about it. And say, these are goals I have this year. I'm probably going to have to ask you to help me reach these. Can you do that? And that may mean that you have to give me time to work on my business, that you can't interrupt me. That may mean that I'm going to have to bring you in as a resource. When you bring your spouse and your family and your business people into your life, a lot of business owners never share their personal goals with their staff, and then they wonder why they can't help them meet it. It's like not just for you to keep in isolation. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Projects and next action items. There's a great book called Getting Things Done by David Allen. I highly recommend it. Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's a little bit of a boring read, but it is like a time management operating system. And it is fantastic. I've read that thing over and over again. I almost keep it as a reference. And one of the chief reasons I find that painting contractors are not productive is because they try to keep everything in their head. How many of you right now, if I said, can you send me a master consolidated list of all your projects and projects broken down into next action items, that you could send me that in an email right now, that you have it, or take a picture of it if it's in paper? Does anybody have that? You do? Does anybody else? Seriously. 1, 2, 3, 4. The rest of you, I'm telling you, what happens is when you try to keep everything in your head, and while I'm talking, y'all can write this down. You do 2 things at once. I want you to actually write down, so what's something keeping you up, like you're thinking about this. You're in the shower, and it's, I got to get a 5 over for the Johnson job, and I got to hire this other guy. And you're sitting on the toilet, and it's like, what God is going on? And your brain is just going 90 to nothing all the time. What happens is when you don't have a place where you write things down, your brain thinks that it's not stored somewhere responsibly, so it reminds you of it all day long, and it reminds you of it while you're trying to work on hard things. How many of you start a project that's very difficult, and then your brain starts reminding you of things to do, and then you go off and do those little things? This is why. This is how your brain works. How many of you have ever defragmented a computer to free up space? This is the same process. Your brain works the same way. This is so powerful. This is one of the biggest things. I've gotten so used to doing this that sometimes on Sunday, what I like to do, I don't work on Sundays at all. Maybe 2 times a year when my mule's in a ditch. Usually it's right before Summit and right before EXPO. I have to work a little bit. But other than that, 50 weeks a year, I don't work on Sunday. We go to church on Sunday evening because they've got a youth program that Sylvia likes to go to. And even when I try to work and piddle at the house, I've gotten so used to doing this that I have to write down my piddle list. I have to go find a scrap of paper or something, chop the wood, blow the leaves. I enjoy doing that stuff. I put a book on tape on, I'm out there blowing the leaves. I'm drinking a beer. It's like heaven to me. Hike in the woods. What have I got to pack? I have to write it down because I've trained my brain that everything has to be written. And guess what? I don't get reminded of things. I've got a master to-do list. I could show it to you right now. It is on my desktop, and I redate it. And I find that when I am stuck and I can't get started on a project, that if I sit down and I put together my master to-do list, and if I get everything out of my head, and then I take a piece of paper and I discreetly write down the project I'm working on right now, and then I give myself permission to quote-unquote be lazy about all the other things I'm not doing right now. You can't do more than one thing at a time. Multitasking does not work. Does not work. Sit down, do one thing at a time. I'm just going to let the rest of my business catch fire. But guess what happens? It doesn't. I check my email thoroughly about once a week, sometimes every other week. That's it. I kind of skim it, and it's important. And you know what? I'm alive. I'm alive and I'm here. Some of you think that there's going to be a death notice in your local paper if you don't check the text, check the emails. But you got to get rid of that stuff. It is killing your productivity. Now, I'll talk about this and then we'll move on to the next thing. A project is something like hire an estimator. But here's the problem. You can't hire an estimator. You can't. Oh, there he is. You can't do that. But you write it on your list, and then it stays on your list. Then you write another list, and it's on your list. And that hire an estimator is hopped around on more pieces of paper. I mean, it's just always moving, right? Nothing happens. But it's really not. It's like I need to brainstorm job responsibilities in a Word document. I need to make a list of people to talk to about potential estimating hires. I need to calendar some time to sit down with my phone and email, and I need to post on social media about it. I need to write a job ad. In our program, we have an estimator hiring and management toolkit. So you just kind of go in there and you take all the crap and you start using it, shortcut, but you still have to do discrete items. When you don't break projects down into discrete next action items, what happens is your brain gets stuck. And when you look at that thing, because it's not broken down, it gives you anxiety and it makes you procrastinate. So even if you're like, I need to get my oil changed. Well, if you're like me, no, I've got to ask my wife what her schedule is, and then I have to drive down to Maples Automotive, which is right by my house. The guy's got a shop out in the woods, and I got to go drive it and drop it off. And I got to call them and say, hey, can you get my oil change today? Like, that's what I've got to physically do. Even small little things that have 2 or 3 steps in them, if you don't break them down, it's like there's a unfocused blur across it, and you can't get started. So I want you to take just 2 or 3 minutes, and I want you to write down some projects and next action items about things that you want to do. And if there's more than 3 or 4 steps, just pick one right now so you get in the habit of doing it. If you have to, go down to the next thing, you could put the same project in the little block. And I use a little form like this. I know I'm nerdy, but I'm highly productive. I have a little form like this, and I just plug my stuff into it. A dash is a project, an asterisk is a next action step, and I just keep that in a 2-column Word document. It works for me. You may want to use some kind of fancy application or whatever, but at the end of the day, you still got to get the stuff done. And when somebody has a project that you've broken down into 5 or 6 doable, physically actionable things, I want you to raise your hand and share it with us. And usually the tougher the thing is, the more component parts it has. And even you have to start thinking about sequencing at a point. What are you pointing at? What are you pointing at? Is there something going to get me? Yeah, you get your pen? There you go. I left that on the floor just for you. That's just for you. You're welcome. I'm glad we shared this moment. Who has one broken down they want to share? You're not shy. Some of you aren't writing anything down. You're like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I don't have any projects. I ain't got no action either. Sir.
Project is to launch my webinar about Google Maps.
Okay, so what component parts?
I got to pick the date.
Okay.
And then I've got to compile the list of those that are going to be involved and invited.
Invited? You're not done. You got to, now listen, you got to outline the content. You got to think about the needs of those that are going to be on the webinar. You've got to research third-party proof. You've got to have a sequence to invite people that is multi-step, multi-medium. You got to write the copy for the emails, the text messages. You've got to build a landing page that will convert. Now you've got to set up the reminders for the people that show up and register. You might even do some kind of low-threshold lead magnet in addition to get them and then convert it from there to there. And then you've got to have a follow-up sequence for the folks that don't convert. And all that's got to be scripted out and written. You got about 15, 14 things on down the line that you got to do there. There's more to it than that. So don't just go to 2, like go all the way through. Like if you had to hand this off to somebody, one good trick to do is get it so broken down that if you could hand it off to somebody that knew what they were doing, that they could do it all without your instruction. Because you need to almost manage yourself like you'd manage somebody else. Does that make sense? This thing is supposed to help me. It's 11:35. Okay, we're in pretty good shape. All right, next step. So first thing we've done is we've set goals to pull us. The second thing we've done is we've cleared our brain so that we are not, this reduces anxiety for me tremendously. I know it will for you too. The third thing is you've got to consolidate all your recurring tasks and interruptions. Who's got one of these handouts and you're not really using it? Anybody got one of those? Because y'all are sharing over there. Thank you very much. So here are some of the things that interrupt you all week long. I'm just going to read these. And I want you to start putting hours beside it. Answering the phone, hire an answering service. I can give you a referral. They can set your estimates. B2B referral prospecting. How many hours does it take? What value is it? Is it 1? Is it 10? Answering the phone's probably 1. Difficulty of delegations, probably 1. But then things like referral prospecting is value 10, difficulty maybe 6 or 7. Maybe for you 10. You don't like to get out there, you're really introverted. We just tried to coach a boy that is in debt. And he's of this modern generation that thinks he's going to get himself out of it by swiping a credit card, and we cannot get him to get off his ass and go out and try to generate some leads. And finally, Tom told him the other day, you need to take your office chair and throw it out the window. You just don't need a chair. You need to get out there. You are broke. You're in debt. You need to get action. Checking on jobs. Good grief. Checking on jobs. There's the job. I did a lot of good. Checking on jobs. Client communication. I check the emails every 10 minutes. Commercial prospecting, data entry, estimate follow-up that y'all don't do. Invoicing. God couldn't get somebody to do that. You got to do that. Job costing, no need to do that. Just move on to the next job. You'll make it up on the next job, guys. You'll make it up on the next job. Net new marketing activity, swap the credit card with an agency, hope it works out. Operational marketing, no need to do that. Ordering paint, gotta do that. About 8 in the morning, it's usually a good time when the guys are standing around. Payroll if you got the money. Recruitment and hiring, don't worry about it. Just keep the bad ones and be miserable. Running and writing estimates, maybe. Email that PDF, baby. That's going to close it. Running paint equipment. Spent 3 hours running a 5-gallon of paint. Got to do that. Set up jobs because the crew leaders don't know how to do it. Hadn't trained them. All this stuff that is not going to fix your business, some of it will. You need to figure out, look, how many hours are you spending? Wasting. Yeah, we got a smart one on the second row here. We got to figure this stuff out. Now, when I mean consolidating it, here's what I mean. Y'all need to have a day that you do estimates back to back to back to back. You need to have a day that you do payroll, and it needs to be living on your calendar. We're going to get to that in a minute. Some of you have unlike tasks scattered all over your calendar all week long. And if a client or a painter calls you, you just drop everything that you do and you just run off and do it. Often what it is you're just procrastinating, but because it's firefighting, it makes you feel like you're working hard. You get home, what'd you do today, honey? I worked hard, Lord, I've been putting in 70 hours. Doing $5 an hour work. Wonder why I'm not rich yet. You can't do $5 an hour work all week and get wealthy. So you need to compartmentalize this stuff. When I do platinum calls, and they're very time consuming, they're some of the highest productive things I do. I transform more people's lives doing my platinum coaching faster than anything else I do. I do them on the second and the fourth Wednesdays in 45 and 30-minute increments, and I'm on the phone for 8.5 hours straight. I take pee breaks, and I mute the phone. So I'm sorry. You don't know it, doesn't make a difference. Out in the yard, I live in the woods, nobody knows. Except Mr. Lewis occasionally during the winter when the foliage isn't out, my next door neighbor. Hey, Mr. Lewis, oh God, what's going on? There's nothing to see here. That's a joke, I can't tell. But nonetheless, I'm like very efficient. When I do my diagnostics, I do them in specific days. I've got all of Thursday and almost all of Thursday and all of Friday blocked off for no calls, no emails, no text messages, no nothing. I get everything crammed in 3.5 days a week. And then I diddle around and do what I want to on Saturday to about, 11 o'clock. Then I go to the gym or do whatever because I enjoy my work. I enjoy coaching you. So like I do it on Saturday. Our family is kind of late risers usually, and they're in there watching TV or doing what, or getting ready for the day. And so I go in my office and do some work, and a day and a half I'm off, right? So here's the big takeaway. Poor painters use their calendars like a sponge. You ever drop a sponge on a dirty floor? That's what your calendar looks like. You look at some lint, some hair, a couple toenails. Let's just put all that on there. Just stick it on the calendar. All this trash. Don't put trash on your calendar. Rich painters use their calendar like a shield. The owners, you can't get to them if it's not scheduled. They're not going to drop everything for an estimate request to go paint grandma's bedroom across the county. They're not going to have their painters call for 15, 30, 40-minute conversations about nothing. You got to train your people. You've got to protect your time. It's the most precious resource. I go hiking on the Cumberland Trail, and it is the headwater for Chickamauga Lake, huge lake in Chattanooga. And at the beginning, that headwater is real tiny, and it starts up at the top of my house on Signal Mountain, and I hike it down, and I follow the stream. The stream gets bigger and bigger as I go. It's beautiful out there. Hardly anybody knows it's there, which is how I like it. And I go down there and hike. And the money in your business is like that headwater. You dam that headwater up about a third of the way, nothing ever accumulates downstream. Nothing. And so you've got to undam the headwater of productivity in your business, and it is you. It is you. It's not your staff. And here's the other thing I'll throw in there just as a bonus. If you are disorganized and you don't manage your time, guess what your staff are doing? Same thing. It's like when you go down to Disney, you go down to the Magic Kingdom, which we're going to do tomorrow, where the most common sound you hear are dysfunctional families and ungrateful children. It is awful, awful, because they don't take care of things in the moment, and then they think when they get out in public that their kids are going to behave. My children are sitting right over here. They're just fine. You can take them to a 5-star restaurant, either one of them. Ruby might have spilled something 2 years ago, but that's about it. That's it. Like they're well behaved because mama don't take no mess, and neither do I, and we're consistent with them. When your staff look at you, your painters look at you, and they see a hot mess, they're like, this is how it's going to go around here. He doesn't manage his time. Why should I manage mine on the job? So when you start protecting your time and get good at it, guess what you can do? You can teach your staff to do it, then you can teach your painters to do it. But if you can't do it, it ain't going to happen. Next thing, time blocking. All right, let's flip over to the next page. For many of you, these things that I'm teaching you, they will absolutely transform your life. It's very primitive, but very effective. So this is, this is a calendar. You know, it's been around since the Mayans and the Aztecs. I know many of you don't use one. It's a new invention. It's a new app called the calendar, okay? I kid you not, how many guys I coach and I ask them to show me their calendar and they literally tell me I don't have one. Or I have a calendar for estimates, but they don't have a calendar for their time. It's ridiculous. So here's what I want you to do first. This is the most important thing. You need to put your 4 hours of power on your calendar. What are the 4 hours of power? There's a great book called Deep Work, and it's all the research around the fact that if you piddle with something for about 15 minutes, nothing gets done. You don't even have to read the book. I just told you. If you piddle with something, just on one page, you piddle with something for 15 minutes, nothing gets done. Spend 4-hour blocks, because you don't lose the time getting started. You don't lose the time doing whatever else. Take your stinking phone, and this is what I do. I take out my phone and I put it in a drawer across the room. And I shut the drawer and I put it on airplane mode, and sometimes I just turn it off. Okay? Another thing you can do if you got to shop and you're tempted, go put it in the glove box of your car, and every time you want to check social media every 5 minutes and check your bank account, look at what the sports teams are doing and whatever the heck else it is that you do. And you're like, do I really want to get out and go out and walk to my car and open the glove box to look at that? You won't go look at it most of the time. And you tell your staff and you tell your people that I will not be interrupted. Like when I used to work when my staff was all with me, I would say hello in the morning for a little while. And then I put my office as far back in the warehouse as I could, away from my staff. And I would go in there and I would shut the door. I have what we like to call a closed door policy at my company. And that is, the door's closed, do not interrupt me. We will meet later. You've got to do the same thing. If you won't keep your obligations, how many of you always keep your estimate appointments? Like you ain't going to show up late, keep them. One dude back there, the rest of you showing up late. Okay. How many of you keep the appointments with yourself the same way? You got to keep the appointment with yourself. You put this 4 hours on, and that's where you focus on hiring. That's where you make a list of 15 commercial prospects in your area and you go fix it. That's where you finally implement your production rates, because it takes time. You're doing something new that is difficult and challenging that you're not familiar with, that cannot be done in a sea of distraction. You focus on it. If you had to like defuse a bomb, you wouldn't be like, well, this thing's going to go off in a little while. I'm going to tinker around with it for about 10 minutes and we'll see how that goes. You'd sit down and sweat bullets and you pull up YouTube like, I'm hoping I'm cutting the right wire. Like you would freaking focus. It's the same thing that you're doing with these hard tasks. So first, put who's got their 4 hours blocked off? When are you going to do it? Has anybody done this? Perfect. That works for a lot of people. If you do it every day, that works for some. I like the 4 hour blocks, but just doing it before the phone starts ringing, you start your day with it. That's great, very powerful. Anybody else got their 4 hours they're going to put in there? I'm going to share your time. If you don't do it, I'll see you next year at the same class. I'm telling you, I'm just giving you my wealth of experience here. Number 2, put in your high-value, self-initiated actions. All of you are going to make your clients happy because guess what happens? If you screw up on a job, what happens? The customer calls and complains. They write a bad review. It costs you money. So therefore, because there's a penalty, you act with consistency. But when you have to do something that is difficult, that requires self-initiated action, who's going to call and write a bad review because you're lazy in your business? Nobody. Is your spouse going to get on to you? Probably not. Are your painters going to call you up in the middle of the day? Boss, I bet you're being pretty lazy right now. I'm just going to go ahead and I need to talk to you about it for 30 minutes. No. You just make less money. They are never going to hold you accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable. So, how many of you want to maybe break into commercial repaints, which is something I specialize in? Raise your hand. How many of you have it calendared on your calendar when you're going to do it? Oh, yeah, 2. The rest of you ain't going to make it. You're going to be painting grandma's bedroom till you die. Okay? 16 hours at a time, baby. We're going to make it. Put it on your calendar. Okay, every other Thursday from 8 o'clock to 12, I recommend you call on them as early as possible. Bob's sitting down in the basement by the boiler. He gets in early. He leaves early. Go see him early. If you try to see him late, he may not be there. You put it on there the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday. You put it on your Google Calendar as recurring. And you freaking go out and you call on those people. If you ask Bob in the basement how often the painting contractors ever come by and called on him, he will look up at the ceiling. He goes, either he'll say never, or he'll say, there's a guy named Jose, got a little slow one winter about 6 months ago. I heard from him and never heard from him again. That's how hard it is to break into commercial repaints if you just get out there and do something. There's more to it than that. We got about 8 courses on it, but I'm just saying, if you did nothing more than show up in Bob's office and said, I need some work. You got some work? I gave you the 2 sentences to say. I need some work. You got some work. You show up. You'd be surprised how much work you would get. You should do it better than that, but I'm telling you, it's fundamentally that simple. Number 3, you must consolidate all the other crap. 4 hours of power, the big things you want to do, think like hiring and recruitment, B2B referrals, staff training, they live on your calendar in this recurring fashion. And then you cram in the crap that is like reactive that you're going to do. You're going to do it. You're going to write the estimate. It's going to happen. You're going to check on the job. You're going to run the 5 gallons of paint. It's going to happen. That's never not going to happen. You're going to find a way to do it. It's priority 1, right? So put the hard stuff first and then fill in the easy stuff, the stuff that you can do brainlessly. Like you turn around, it's 3 o'clock and you've done everything and you weren't even awake. You still had your bedroom slippers on. Like you can just do it out of habit. But this other stuff's hard. So you got to do that stuff. All right. These are my tips for slaying the time vampires, and I will take some questions. We're going to go through this list. Because these are, in my opinion, probably the most common things that you deal with all the time that keep you from making money and being happy. So let's figure out how to slay them. So, there's a great saying, if you don't have a plan for your time, the universe does. And the universe's plan for your time is to waste it. Your customer's plan for your time is to waste it. Your staff's plan for your time is to waste it. For many of you, your plan for your time is to waste it. So you have to have a plan for dealing with these very common things. I'll take off my glasses here. The first one is constantly checking your phone. Turn off all notifications. If you got notifications on your phone, turn them off. Place your phone in a hard-to-access location. Not like a prison location, but, hard-to-access location. Never start your day by checking your phone, email, or social media, ever. That's a rabbit hole. You get down, I'm checking this, I found this little thing, and you're gone. You're gone. Protect your highest energy hours for deep work, okay? Don't let that encroach. Interruptions from your staff and others. I wanted to print this off, but I ran out of time. You got to set clear boundaries for your availability. How many of you guys have actually consistently talked to your guys about how they communicate with you versus how many of you just let them call, text, email all day long? How many you got a consistent boundary back in the green? How many of you just kind of let your painters just use your brain like it's a toilet? Can I access that for 30 minutes? Sure, here I am. Here I am, Lord. Send me. Define communication standards. This is how you reach me. Require staff to complete a problem-solving sheet. This is great. There's a great book for those of you who suffer from anxiety. Congressman Desjardins recommended this book to me. I've read it over and over again. It was written in the 1930s or 40s by Dale Carnegie. It's not How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And there's a story in there about a publisher who was constantly interrupted and never could get anything done. And he came up with a one-page form. And I use this in our Ultimate Crew Leader packet. And it says, what is the problem? And your staff has to write it down. What do you think the solution to the problem is? And they have to write it down. And then I put on it, if you're 80% or less sure about this being the solution, you may contact me, but you must submit the form first. I had my crew leads do this. You know how often I got phone calls from my crew leads? Hardly ever. Now, they'll call you, hey, I got this. Send the form in. Call goes away. Magically. Problem gets solved. Fill out the form. That's one of the best ones. Getting pulled onto the job for field work. A lot of you just haven't trained and don't have the operation systems for your crews. It's not their fault, it's yours. Go through this. Estimate requests that derail your schedule. The basics is you need to consolidate the time and not run them. I know it feels hard not to take on every estimate request that comes in, but I promise you, you will make more money by time blocking and protecting your time than running one more estimate. You will. And if you got good sales and marketing systems, it won't matter if you lose 1 out of 35 estimates because you can't go see it immediately. Poor personal health habits. Some of you stay up too late, drink too much. Occasionally I do that myself. And you wake up the next day and you're groggy and you're tired, you got poor health habits, that's going to kill your time management. Mental doom casting. How many of you constantly imagine terrible scenarios for your business? Like you've played it out like it's a movie, live action movie. Raise your hand if that's actually happened. A couple times. There's an old saying that the worst thing that ever happens to you only happens in your mind. Just write down the worst thing. I'm accepting that. That's okay. The firefighting hero syndrome, tolerating non-compliance and poor performance. If you've got this going on in your organization, it starts with you. Shiny object syndrome. I talked to a guy the other day. I love him. He's one of my platinum members. And he was supposed to be executing his 30-day plan. And I asked him, what have you done? He said, well, I started making videos. And I was like, unless it's OnlyFans, I don't think you're going to make any money with that. And looking at you, I don't think you're going to make any money anyway. It's just my guess. And so, what are you going to do? Well, we made this real long, great video. And I was like, what are you going to do with it? Well, I just really wanted to, what's it going to do for you? Well, I hadn't really thought about that. But we spent 2 weeks not working on these fundamental things that we know will transform your business. Some of you want to go off and find these bright and shiny objects that won't make a big difference, and you get crazy about it. Recognize those low-quality things. Cluttered and disorganized workspace. Study after study shows that if your van, your office is a hot mess, it's very hard to focus. How many of you walk around your office looking at something, and I bet you've looked at it 50 times and said, I need to do something with that. And you walk, you go take a pee, I need to do something with that. And you walk, you take a pee, I need to do something with that. Like every time your eye lights on the thing, you're like, something needs to be done with this. And it's got 3 inches of dust on it. Clean it up. Get rid of it. Throw it away. If you were going to do something about it, it would have already been done. Just throw it away and move on. I love throwing stuff away. And lack of protected focused time. So guys, to recap, because we're running out of time here. Number 1, you've got to have goals that are strong enough to pull you through. Number 2, you have to get all the stuff out of your head. Number 3, we've got to figure out what we actually spend our time on and put what the value of it is and how hard it is to delegate or improve through systems. And then we got to start with the things that are the most valuable and work our way back to the least. And the things that are the least valuable, that are the easiest to hand off, we got to get off. And then we got to time block our calendar, starting with the most important things first. And then we got to make sure that we recognize when these distractions are coming, how to avoid them. So last thing here, we talked about what it takes to transform a business, and I've transformed hundreds. And if you're like, gosh, this sounds great, Brandon, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that I'm going to go home and not know how to do this. And many of the things you mentioned, I know I have problems in these areas. I've had them for a long time. I need a program, system, process to fix it. So if you would like to talk with me, this is me back when I had more hair, this old picture. If you'd like to talk with me, I'd be happy to. There's no obligation and there's no promise. I don't just take people because they get on a call. Like, I don't need the money. I don't owe a person $1. I just work with the people I like to work with that I think will actually do stuff. And so if you want to sign up or do something, if you fill out the physical form up here, if you come up and talk to me, if you decide to do some kind of coaching program, I'll take $300 off just because you're here at PCA, and it'll maybe get you some money back on the ticket you bought. But I'd be happy to help you because this is what I do for a living. I'm very good at it. I love it. We've generated just remarkable results. They're very consistent, and they've lasted decades plus. And so I'd like to do it for you. In closing, if you want to come up and talk to me, y'all have any questions for me while you got me? We got a couple minutes left here. Yes, sir, in the back. Yes, sir. The Painting Profits Summit, which is 10 years, this is our 10th year anniversary for that event. I've been coaching 12. It's now officially the longest continually running painting event in the nation because we did it in 2020. So now I have that moniker. We're the longest uninterrupted event. We all met, we went, and half my members died, but we just kept going. We just kept going, and we just pushed all the dead grandmas in the corner, and it was very sad, really. But, you know, it's a little bit of a morale kill, but we moved on. The weak ones died, the strong ones lived. And so anyway, we've been running it longer than anybody else. So it's the last weekend in January, every year, last weekend in January, and it's all contractor-driven and focused. We have virtually no vendors speak, maybe one a year, and it's contractors presenting to contractors. It's contractors in peer groups. So it's all like contractor-driven, which makes it a very unique format, and I'm going to keep it like that because our guys would shoot me if I changed it. Other questions? Other questions? Guys, I appreciate you. You've been very kind with your time. If you'd like to come up and see me, I'll stand around for a little while. In closing, guys, you can do this. You can do this. And if you're like, I'm not smart enough, I don't have the education, I'm telling you, often I don't need to say this in derogatory, my dumbest, least educated members are putting checks in the bank while my smartest ones are telling me why they can't do it. I mean, I've never seen anybody fail at this if you just follow the process. Never, ever. If you conquer this time management stuff and you get a good plan, you get somebody to help you, there's nothing you can't do because I've seen it. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes over and over again. So don't walk out of here thinking that you're in a room full of giants and you can't succeed in this industry. That's head trash. I know you can. If I can ever help you, I'd love to. God bless you. I'll be out at the pool later. If you want to come say hello, I'll be in a red tank top with Mr. T on the front that says, I have no time for jibba jabba. And so I'll see you out there. Take care, guys.